Brothers and sisters, good night. People of Essequibo, good night. The question tonight is, now that we have found unity, what are we going to do with it? But more importantly, how are we going to protect it? We are almost 50 years old as a country, and most of those 50 years we have spent divided. So when we go forward tonight, I know we want to celebrate, but we must, as the Rastas say, we have to iterate on those things that have divided us, so that never again in the future of this country will the people ever be brought into collision with each other, and will anybody ever be able to separate us. So, before we celebrate, let us look at what has divided us for nearly 50 years. The first and most important thing that we have to change in this country is the Constitution. The days when we elect people who are in effect kings or queens to govern us because they are not responsible to us, because they are immune from suit, and because they have absolute power are over. Not because we are going to elect our party into power, but never again as citizens of this country will we ever allow anybody to enjoy the executive power that is vested in them under this Constitution. And that is why the Alliance is pledging to change the Constitution. Why is it, brothers and sisters, that after 5 decades, we have a Constitution that says that if you don't get a majority, you cannot wait until after the elections to come together and form a coalition? Because if that had happened and if we had those provisions in the Constitution, we would have had President David Granger and Prime Minister Nagamootoo since 2011. So we must understand the things that we have to change. But we also have to acknowledge as a people that we have failed our foreparents. And I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to claim our inheritance. 50 years ago, the colonialists ran this country. And when they handed it over to us, all of us, there were 3 basic legs upon which this economy relied. It is now 50 years later, 50 years since we have been governing ourselves, and we are still depending on the same economy that the colonialists left us. It means as a people, we have failed ourselves and failed our ancestors who expected us to diversify the economy so that we could guarantee a future to all of our people. Not guarantee migration, guarantee a future. And so I say to you tonight, as we begin to discuss what it is that we have to change, that we must listen to how distorted we have become, how malformed we have become by 50 years of foolishness. Tell me, after 50 years of independence, how come somebody come and tell us that because they gave us a house lot, or that because they did what? Build some road, that is relevant for consideration for election? We are entitled to a house lot. That is nothing new. And furthermore, if we had been rich enough, we wouldn't have to depend on the government for a house lot. We would all be rich enough to buy our own house lots. So brothers and sisters, I say to you, when they come and they start to make this comparison to 28 years and 22 years ago, all the cell phones you have are 1 year and 6 months old. Ask them if they had cell phones 22 years ago. Because if they're asking you to elect them based on a comparison with a benchmark that is 22 years old, it means you are dooming yourself to a future of backward standards. The future of this country is not based on looking backwards and making irrelevant considerations and irrelevant comparisons. The future of this country is if we hold ourselves to the highest international standards, so that this country, which is blessed with the best brains and more resources than the people can exploit, can guarantee the best possible life to every person in this hemisphere. I don't have much time to spend with you, but let me tell you about the new day. We have to change the way we think. We have to change our culture. We have to change the way we look at the future. Guyana today, brothers and sisters, will develop if we have a realistic plan. How can we possibly in this day and age say to the young people of Essequibo that they must suffer and go through exactly the same trials and tribulations as their parents? That is a sign of a lack of progress. We are blessed with a very, very small population and a very, very large landmass. And the easiest way to guarantee a prosperous future is the way the rest of the world is making themselves prosperous. And that is to make the country an information, communications, and technologically advanced country that is paralleled by none other in the Caribbean. It is foolishness in this day and age, brothers and sisters, that you cannot create jobs in Essequibo for people from Essequibo because you don't even have adequate internet in Essequibo. Guyana, brothers and sisters, is the second slowest internet provider in the entire Caribbean. The only country that has slower internet than us is Cuba. Let me just give you an example of what would happen if they liberalized telecommunications. The price would drop down, and it would mean that here in Essequibo, you would have enough bandwidth that you would have call centers that will employ more than the 6,000 people that Georgetown was just promised. That is more people than you have coming out of school, and that is not an expensive proposition. But you see, you have a government that is visionless and is too concerned about spending time fighting other people rather than planning for the future. But they do not realize that the time when they could rely on traditional loyalties are over. I want to salute some very, very brave citizens of this county who stood up long before unity, who challenged the PPP, who faced them down, who had the courage. There are 18 paddy farmers who have been charged with standing up to the PPP because they said enough is enough. We are not taking this anymore. And they cannot say to the paddy farmers that you look like David Granger or you look like me, therefore don't follow them. Those are the bravest men that you have produced in recent history, and I want you to respect them. There is another brother from Essequibo, a very successful businessman, who spoke to you tonight, and you know how dangerous it is for businessmen to stand up against this regime. They get tax assessed, they get their goods set down, and this man is a model of Essequibo's best and finest in business. I want you to salute Sam Bacchus, because tonight, brothers and sisters, he stood up and he is counted. Understand that the PPP is in trepidation tonight because we have every single race, color, creed, indigenous, non-indigenous, sons of slaves, sons of indigenous, sons of indentured, gathered here tonight in unity. But we must guard that unity because it is important that never again must any politician, and I understand that I'm a politician, because I am afraid of human beings, and we must make sure that never again that any politician can use us and use the instruments of power to divide and separate us. So I want you to touch your brothers, hold their hands, and let us say tonight, never again will we ever be separated on the basis of race. Never again will we be separated on the basis of culture. Never again will we be separated on the basis of political history. Never again will we ever be separated on the basis of our wealth, because we believe in one Guyana, we have one future, and we have one destiny. Brothers and sisters, we have a long program, and I won't spend much time with you tonight. But a brother from All Boys Town, those of you who know Six Head, when I was coming here, he gave me the Bible and directed my attention to Psalm 133. And I will only read you the first verse. Brother Six, it says, "Behold how good and how pleasant it is for the brethren to dwell together in unity." I say to you tonight, brothers and sisters, God bless Essequibo. God bless you. God bless our leaders who will change the country and change the way we operate. And may the sun never shine, may the sun never go down on this glorious Republic of Guyana. Peace, and God bless you.